Good evening. Tonight we will be interviewing the Lennon family. The Lennons have been married for 53 years. In this culture, that's no small feat. We're going to talk to them tonight about how they did it and any kind of tips or ideas that they have for those of us who are also going through that journey. Dr. Robert Lennon is currently the pastor of Calvary Alliance Church. He has pastored there for 33 years. He is a retired school teacher and administrator. Miss Lennon, in addition to being the pastor's wife, is also a retired financial analyst from a Fortune 500 company. Robert and Jonnifer Lennon were married on December 31st, 1966. 1966 was the year when the Dance Theater of Harlem debuted. Martin Luther King Jr. opened a campaign in Chicago, and there were race riots in Omaha, Nebraska. The space race, as well as the nuclear race with the Soviet Union, was in full swing. The U.S. Supreme Court finally ruled the poll tax was unconstitutional. Bill Russell became the first black coach in history. And in case you were wondering about the team, it was the Boston Celtics. And this was also the year of this famous song, You Can't Hurry Love. So, not sure if they hurried love, but they did make that public profession in 1966 on December 31st. And if you're thinking about that and doing the math, it'll actually be 54 years on December 31st of this year. They have gone through all of this time and gone through all kinds of conflicts and challenges and raising children and just all the things that marriages go through, and they have found ways to make it work. And that's what they're going to be sharing with us tonight. Dr. Lennon, Mrs. Lennon, welcome. First question. So when was the first time you actually saw each other? What did you think?
The first time I saw Jonnifer was at BSU, Bowie State University. I saw her as another student who was entering college for the first time.
And I saw Robert for the first time when he was dispersing linens, bed linens. I was coming to get my linen, and he was the one distributing them. And as soon as I saw him, my heart basically skipped a beat. After we were in the getting the laundry, he asked me to go down to the Blue Room, which was the student union, and we talked until 10 o'clock, my curfew.
Okay, so you kind of hit it off the bat.
I did.
Okay, so what were some of the qualities that you were looking for in a marriage partner?
At the time that I first saw Johnny, I was not looking for a candidate. Not looking for a candidate for marriage. However, commitment, respect, trust, and love for me and for my parents are important qualities in a marriage partner.
And I basically wasn't looking for a marriage partner myself. But if you look for a measurement, I really was looking at my dad and what he represented. And he had integrity, he was honest, he was loving and kind, and he kept his promises. So therefore, I believe that's what I was really looking for in a man.
So, your parents, how long were your parents married?
Well, my parents were married for about 30 plus years. 30 plus years. My mom left to be with the Lord in 1973.
And so the marriage ended in death.
Yes.
Okay.
And my parents were married 63 years, and they ended with Dad's death.
So in the vows where it says, until death do us part, that's the model that the two of you actually saw. And that probably had to have an effect on your expectations of marriage too. So what were some of those qualities that you saw in your parents' marriage that you wanted to emulate in your own?
Well, I always wanted to, I always saw them working together. They were committed to each other, and they respected each other, and they really worked together, and they really were people who were looked up to in the community.
In my parents' marriage, I saw love and respect for each other. And I saw commitment and love for God. So that made these some qualities that I wanted to emulate in my marriage.
So how did you know that he or she was the one that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with?
I guess I knew that Jonnifer was the one for me when I couldn't think of anybody else. I just knew that she was the one. I just knew without any doubt in my mind. I honored her and I adored her. I cherished her. That's how I knew.
I knew Robert was the one for me because I had the butterflies. And it was a gut feeling. And he had so many characteristics like my dad, and it just felt like home. So I knew he was the one.
Okay, so we've established how you knew that this was the one you wanted to spend the rest of your life with. Now, on to kind of the fun stuff. Your wedding day. Tell us about it.
Well, my wedding day was a little chilly, but it was a time where the family all got together, and we did have our wedding in the home. And there was basically about 20 people or so there. It was small. And we had a small cake that we made. It was 3 tiers, and it was all blue and yellow. That's my colors. And I made an arch with my hula hoop. And I put yellow and blue ribbons around it. And Dad had bought all the flowers and all. And my 2-year-old sister was the flower girl. And our minister of our church was the one that married us. And so basically that's about it. We had fun. And my brother was trying to do more help than I wanted, but anyway, everybody pitched in and helped.
Yeah, they
so
did.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
So it was a whole family thing. Now, what about your dress?
My dress was a basic A-line dress. It was cream, and it had gold lace around it.
A lot of times in weddings, there are funny things that are really not quite so funny the day of, but when you look back, they're kind of funny.
Yeah.
Did anything like that happen for you in your wedding, on your wedding day?
Oh my, well, it was an interesting story. Due to snow on the ground, my car was hit by another car. And no one was injured or anything, but the idea of my left rear side being damaged created a real problem for me. I didn't want her to see it. So the idea of going around and opening the door on the right was good because she didn't have to see it. And that made it all right for me. But that's the story. That happened the day before the wedding. Soon after we were married, I discovered that Jonnifer liked to have dinner at 5 o'clock. And I sort of like to have it at 6 o'clock. Now, that doesn't seem like it was much of a problem, and it really wasn't then a real problem. But one of the ways that I worked through that was that I made a special effort to communicate with her about that particular event. It made me really zero in on my communication skills. I didn't call them skills at that time. It's just I had to talk to her.
That's right.
So that was where I come from with that. It wasn't a real crisis, but it did make me communicate with her on a more effective basis.
Well, we were basically, and still are, opposites. He's a type A. He's one of those people persons, workaholics. He likes to take charge. And I am more of an introvert, and I like to be laid back and more of a homebody. So there was a difference there. But because we had to learn to work together and for this common goal and the commitment that we had with God and with each other. So therefore, we did work together to get there. But I do have to tell our young ladies one thing. It's a little secret. If you want to change a behavior in your husband or change his thoughts, his mind, then all you have to do is this one thing. It's not arguing, but it's prayer. And you know where you can find it? It's in 1 Peter 3:1. Now there's so little few things that we need to do, but the main thing is that we will change our husband by our conduct. And you know what? They will think they have made up a new decision themselves, but no, God changed their minds.
So we really do have a tidbit there for the women. Prayer really does change your husband. It changes your marriage. And that's just, thank you. Wow. I'm newly married myself, so thank you. The fact that you all had differences actually contributed to the richness of your marriage. And because you were willing to stick with that commitment to each other and to God.
Yes.
So you had the differences, and I'm sure there were some challenges that you discovered too soon after you got married. So what were some of the challenges of your early years of marriage, and how did you deal with them?
The early challenges, an early challenge in our marriage was probably what is typical of many, money. I had a check coming in of $369. Out of that $369, $99 of that went for the rent. And we had to pay for the utilities as well. But also, we had to buy food.
Yes, we did.
And that $369 didn't go very far, it seems. We had to learn how to budget.
Yes, we
and
did.
that was a real challenge for us and for me at that stage in our marriage. Learning how to budget.
Yes.
So, but we had a master at it. And I'm going to let the master tell us a little bit about how she did that.
So let me clarify, $369 a month. Wow.
A month.
Okay. All right, just making sure we understood. $369 a month.
Yes. Now, I was from a family of 8, and my dad was a teacher. So I kind of was used to making it do. And a major thing I did was when I bought groceries, it was once a month, and I divided the meats and vegetables up into, say, 24 to 28 packages. So I have one per day. And on the weekends, we would make a round trip to each of our parents, and we would be fed very well. And we always had a package of food that they sent us home with. So that's how you stretch a budget.
So it really was a family affair.
Yes.
Yes,
Our families helped us out a lot.
And if I might just add quickly to that, we still do that today. And we go around and visit, and when we go to our kids' house, we look for that package. I guess that's tradition, if you will.
Yes, and I like to give out packages.
Oh, and as our kids can probably tell you, and many others when they come to visit us, there's always that care package that leaves with them. And maybe we got that in the early part of our marriage.
Yes.
It did help with budgeting, though.
Yes, it did.
Really, really did.
So, family, I think you're bringing up another really good point. The support of the family was important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so let us take a look at our next question. And this should be a fun one. What was the best part of your early marriage?
That's a simple one for me.
Go ahead.
I couldn't wait to get home to be with my wife and my daughter. That was a thought that ran through my mind as I was trying to teach. I'm gonna be home, and I'm gonna get home, and I'm gonna be with my wife and my daughter. We didn't have a television at that time, so that was had to look at each other, and just to sit and look at those two that was one of the best times for me in the earlier part of our marriage.
And I'm sure your daughter was the entertainment, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially when she got herself in a shoebox.
Yeah, she would get stuck in shoe boxes and some of those kinds of things. We bring back a lot of memories now, things that I hadn't really thought about.
Yes.
But yeah, I remember that shoebox experience. She
Yes.
got into that little shoebox.
Okay.
How, I don't know.
Well, for me, not knowing the future, I think was the main thing. We just took one day at a time, and we just had fun. Because if I really thought about it, if I had known about all the bumps in the road that would have been ahead of us, I probably would have been living with fear.
Mm-hmm.
But we just were able to grow stronger as we were able to overcome the bumps in the road. So, and that's the main thing. And I know a lot of couples will say that a marriage should be 50-50, but it should be 100 to 0, or 0 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever it takes is what you need to do for marriage.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You got to keep marriage intact. And the only way to do it is to keep doing whatever is necessary to make it work.
Yeah, don't hang on to that 50-50 thing. That doesn't work.
No.
Let's leave that out of it. If you are headed down that route, let me put up the stop sign now. Stop! Stop! Don't go there.
You have to be all in.
Yes. Well, in regards to our marital relationship, we were growing stronger as we were meeting our challenges. But the way I handled challenges changed for me when I went to Renewing Love. It's a ministry that helps women learn how to love yourself, husbands, and children. And it improved the way I interacted with family.
Mm-hmm.
Each week we were given homework to test the scriptures by praying for a concern that we had. And each week we would come back and share how when we obeyed the scriptures that it actually worked. And so that really started me really listening to God's word, obeying God's word, because his word is what will make a marriage and a family work.
Mm-hmm.
It's close to 54 years of marriage. What advice would you give to couples who are new or who are struggling? about how to make it last for the long haul.
These words are very, very important if you're struggling in your marriage or if you're new, just got married. These are very important words. Number 1, love. Number 2, trust. Number 3, respect. Number 4, listen with kindness. And number 5, commitment. If you put these 5 words into your life and into your marriage, these 5 words will empower your marriage so that it can go the distance.
I think it is very important to visualize that your marriage will go the long haul and that Jesus Christ is your mediator. Don't be quick to look for an escape clause. All the bumps in the road can be fixed. Find scriptures that will give you strength in times of trouble and weakness to keep you going. I cannot underestimate the importance of having a strong Christian faith in word and deed. I truly believe that this is what has kept us together.
Dr. and Mrs. Lennon, thank you so very much for sharing your journey over these past 54 years. This is Rhonda Lennon Goodridge of MarriagePart2.com